All right. Welcome, everyone. Happy Wednesday, and glad that you're joining us today. And I'm going to give a few minutes for everyone to kind of get joined on. By the way, when you jump on, leave me a note in the comments and let me know where you're tuning in from. Would love to know that. And let me just check over here. We looks like we are streaming live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So I think we're good to go. If um, you are new to me and I am new to you, just let me introduce myself. My name is Beverly Smith. I am the founder of Career Success Strategies, and I'm also the former owner of a staffing and recruiting firm. So I know firsthand what hiring managers are looking for, and I use that knowledge to help mid and senior level professionals build their resumes and land their career of their dreams. And I want to stop and say, if you are tuning in from Facebook, please take a second and go to StreamYard.com/Facebook and give StreamYard permission to see your name. Otherwise, if you leave us a comment, it's just going to say Facebook user. So I would love to know who is tuning in. So make sure you go to StreamYard.com and /Facebook. Like I said, give StreamYard permission to see your name. Now, last week we talked all about how to network to find your next job. It was a great show. If you missed it, you can go all that's where my article is on networking to find your next job. So today we have a very special guest joining us, and this is my friend Ari Schaefer. I'm so excited. She is going to be talking with us today on future proofing your career and talking about strategies that you can use for this in when times are uncertain. So just let me introduce Ari to you. She is an author and she's also a career strategist. Her specialty is in helping people shift their perspective, making the job search easier and more effective. And Ari wrote a book called Unlocking the Secrets of the Successful Career Seeker, and it provides a roadmap that job seekers can use with their own coach or therapist. Now, she currently provides workshops and she gears them either towards the career seekers who aren't really sure about what their next step should be, as well as for those job hunters who do know what they want to do, but they just kind of need a place to do it and have that extra help. So you can find Ari and her book. She has a book and, like I said, and a podcast, and they're on her website, ariciaschaefer.com. And I will link that up in the comments as well as her social media handles. Ari, thank you for joining us. I'm so
Thank you
excited
so
you're
much
here.
for having me. I feel really honored to be a guest on your show. So thank you so much.
Very good. I'm going to grab these. Okay, I think we're back. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, this has just been like a tech city. I have to stop and tell everyone when I scheduled this event, for some reason, instead of typing 12:30, I typed 2:30 and then hit the AM button. So hopefully I've got all that straightened out, but we got a little internet fluctuation here. So, oh, Ari, I'm so thrilled that you agreed to join us today. And this is such an important topic. I feel like that there's a lot of people that are concerned right now. And I'm just curious, um, what do you think is going on that so many people are worried about their jobs going away? And should they really be concerned?
Yeah, I mean, look, the whole world is changing. I mean, it feels like everything is in upheaval, right? Because I mean, COVID shook everything up like a lot, and it's a different world now. And, part of that is great because employees are actually in a stronger position in some ways. So it's like we can look at COVID and we can say, wow, that was a really awful, situation. It really impacted a lot of people. There were a lot of negatives to it. But we can also look at the other side of it and say, it was really unheard of. I used to be a therapist, and it was unheard of for therapists to work from home. And now it's like that's a routine thing that you can ask and you're negotiating. I'd like to work from home 4 days a week. And a lot of employers are like, yes, please. Actually, we only do remote because we found out we don't need our offices. That would not have happened. But I think that there's so much uncertainty because of that, but also because of AI. It's like AI is this amazing, terrifying thing. It's really both. And so I think people feel like off balance when things are uncertain. And I keep hearing that from clients. They're like, I feel untethered. I feel like I'm on shifting sand. And so I think that's where the fear is coming from. I really think that being prepared is kind of your best answer for that, because being worried or being afraid or in a panic can kind of lead you off into the wrong direction. I don't know if you like the movie The Princess Bride. It's one of my favorites. And they talk about panicking into error. And that's so true. I mean, that's such a good thing to remember, is that when we're in panic mode, our brains shut everything down. They shut down our logic and they tap right into our instinct, which is fear at the time. And we do whatever we need to do to survive. Lovely. Except when you're trying to do a job search, you need to think logically. So I don't want people to panic into error and wind up taking a job that they hate. When people are prepared, they tend to feel really calm and confident. They're like, I've got all my stuff ready. I can go into this. So I think it's good to remember too, that when one industry goes away, and we're going to talk a little bit about that in a minute, but when one of them goes away, another one comes up. So your skills, like knowing how to translate from one language to another, or proofread, or do data entry, all of those are really fantastic skills, but those jobs are impacted sharply by AI. I don't know if you saw this. This is amazing. I'm always I like watching stuff about technology and inventions. And somebody invented these gloves that people can wear when they're signing, doing sign language, and it will interpret it to the other person, like in a voice. And I thought, that's amazing. I mean, there's so much cool stuff. But translators are going, ruh-roh, good for my job. And education is another field. Things are just changing radically. I work with a lot of teachers. So it's really time to embrace that your soft skills are your superpower, and your transferable skills are going to be your saving grace. So I'm going to break it down. So hard skills are things like knowing how to write an estate plan or being able to translate French to English, right? Soft skills are things like taking responsibility when you make a mistake, having integrity, being able to communicate. And a huge one, this is so funny to me, there are so many people that hate conflict. Like they just run for the hills with conflict, or they're the kind of person that it's like, oh, if I get, in a conflict, I'm going to take them down. And I'm like, no, not that. So there are very few people that are really, really good at dealing with conflict. So if that's one of your skills, oh my gosh, that's gold. But we don't usually think about these things as skills. We think of them as character traits, right? But they're soft skills. They are who we are. And I'm going to tell you something, because I hired people when I was running my nonprofit. And employers would much rather hire somebody who's optimistic, reliable, considerate, and teach them the skills
Mhm.
rather than hiring somebody who has the skills, but they're an unreliable jerk, right?
Mhm.
You don't want to work with that kind of person. So when we talk about soft skills, think character traits and tap into those. And you can look it up online too. You can say, what are some soft skills? When we talk about transferable skills, we're looking at those skills that you have that you're not even aware of. They're under the surface. Okay. So what I suggest people do, like I said, I work with a lot of people in academia, and I tell them, go out to Bard or Chat GPT and type in your job title and say, what skills do middle school history teachers have? And it'll come
Mm.
up with this list that you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize I was so fabulous. And it's great because you can draw from that list and say, oh, yes, I do that. I do that. So, like I said, I work with a lot of teachers, and when they come to me, a lot of times they're like, I'm really sick of the politics at my school. Where else can I be a teacher? And I'm like, okay, well, that's one avenue. It's cool. But let's look at this through a larger lens. And that's the way that I work with people. A lot of people will drill down when they work with people and get really into a specific job. I want to expand things first and have people look at everything, figure out what they really want, and then get more of that. Or they're going to move from job to job to job. So, teachers, for example, are great at communicating complex ideas by breaking them down and expressing them in a way that people can understand. And when I
Mhm.
talk with teachers and I say this, that's an amazing skill. They're like, oh, doesn't everybody do that? I'm like, no, that's like, I can't do that. Like, you're amazing. It's great. And they almost always have had to deal with conflicts. And I'm going to tell you
Mhm.
something, it's not the kids, it's the parents. Just saying.
Mhm.
Uh,
So true.
right? But they tend to be exceptionally innovative problem solvers, even on the fly. What a great strength. That's amazing that you can solve something. Something comes up at work and you're like, I'm on it, and you can handle it. It's
Uh-huh.
incredible. And I mean, the teachers in your life, and it's like, wow, they do a lot.
Mhm. Absolutely.
So really, I mean, those are just the tip of the iceberg on that. And teachers can move into training if they like, but they could consider event planning, project management. Really,
Mm.
the sky's the limit with those skills that they're bringing
Right.
with them. So that's what we talk about is like, don't, you can think about teaching someplace else if you love teaching, but what else do you want to do? I mean, the sky's the limit. So it's true of any field across the board too. I mean, I picked teaching, but I could do this for somebody with, data entry skills or retail skills or a surgeon. I mean,
Mhm.
it's everything. So consider the character traits that you bring to the job and dig really deep for those transferable skills. Things are changing, but opportunities are really abundant.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think too, just like we said in your bio, how you get people to shift their perspective. I feel like that even though times are uncertain, there's a lot of people that I come across that they've been doing the same thing for several years and
Mhm.
they're actually a bit burned out.
Yeah.
And this could be if you shift your perspective and quit looking at it as the glass is half empty, but see it as half full, this
Mhm.
could be your opportunity to completely go a different direction with your career. But working with someone like you can help them see those transferable skills and
Right.
see how they could be used somewhere else. Because I know often we don't even, I mean, when it comes to ourselves, it's like in the Bible, like get the log out of your own eye. You don't see it, but you can see that little thing in someone else, that little, and from a good perspective, you could see that little spark in them that is so beautiful and so good that a
Right.
lot of times they just go, doesn't everybody do that?
Right. And I talk about that. Like I talk with my Christian clients, I talk about that and I say, that mustard seed, have that mustard seed of faith in yourself, and I'll work with you and we will plant that and expand it. And my people, when they're done with the session, they tend to leave feeling like really excited, and they're like, oh, this is going to be fun, which is what I want. I don't want them to be like, oh, I have to do this thing. No, that's not fun. That's not fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so I want to know, when do you feel like people need to start preparing to make a change or to move to another job?
Right. Well, things have changed so much. I mean, my dad worked at the same place from the time he was, I don't know, 24 or something, all the way up until he retired. And then he was on the emeritus staff, right? And so he was writing letters and things like that, doing research. So, and his dad, same thing, worked at the same place his entire life. So it's not like that anymore. Most work is almost like contract work, where it's like you're there for a little bit and then you move on to the next thing and the next thing. So need some water. So I encourage all of my clients, and really anybody who's listening, to always be ready. So, but the question is, how do I make myself always be ready, right? So I suggest people get a really big binder. Gather up your diplomas, your letters of reference, testimonials, job evaluations, certifications. I even have like my Toastmasters, awards and achievements in there. Anything that was an achievement. Even emails that you got that somebody sent you, your boss sent you, or a coworker, and they said, oh my gosh, we could not have pulled this off without you. Thank you so much. Put that in there. I call it the job search treasure chest. And as a side note, if you can put all of that on a thumb drive, super smart. We had the Marshall fires here, like a year and a half ago or something, almost 2 years now. And when I evacuated, I was like, and I'm like running around the house trying to find all my stuff. And after that, I put everything on a thumb drive, and it's in a safety deposit box. I've got all my stuff. And that's a good thing to do. So anyway, because you as they say in the commercial, you never know when mayhem will strike. So it's good. It gives you peace of mind. And by the way, my house was fine. But when I teach my workshops, I tell people, find a celebratory name for this box or the file or the binder. I use a binder. For this thing. I mean, it's really kind of like a sacred gem. So I had somebody call their binder the Go Me binder. And I'm like, you go, girl. Thought that was great. But I do it because all of those achievements should be celebrated. Not only once, they should be re-celebrated and re-celebrated each time you see that thing. So think about it. How would your mindset shift if you came at your job search from a place of confidence and celebration? You've just looked through all of these achievements and you're like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. I don't care if it's your Boy Scout awards or whatever. It puts you in a state of mind that you're a winner, that you have achieved all of these things. And it provides that little push that you need, so that when you go in, it's a very appealing attitude that you have, that you're bringing to your job search and your everything that you do. I saw the thing that you did. What was it that said, does your resume look like a marketing tool or a career obituary?
Yes.
Oh my God, I love that. And that's, that's exactly the thing, is that that has to do with mindset, but it has to do with a lot of other things that you covered. But I mean, a lot of it is, how are you thinking about this? I mean, you want to put something out there that's attractive, not something that smells like a dead fish. That's just not good. So the other thing that this does is it helps you to kind of look through things and understand your full range of skills. Because here's what happens to us. So I was a therapist, right? And before that, I was a teacher. But as I was a therapist and as I was looking for jobs, that was what I did. I was a therapist. So I focused on that and those skills, and that's it. And that's all that I thought that I really did. But when I looked through my Yeehaw file, I'm like, oh my gosh, I organized curriculum for this, that, and the other. Like, education has been a theme throughout my career. I can bring this in and I can do more of it. And now I'm teaching workshops because of that. So it kind of brings to light and highlights those things that you're like, wow, that would be really cool. Another way to be prepared, you just talked about it, is networking. Make sure to keep that network alive. Listen to to the show Beverly did about networking. It's crucial. You keep that alive all of the time because you don't want to contact somebody, you haven't talked to for 5 years. Hey, do you have any jobs? I mean, they're going to lose a friend that way. So stay in touch with people, and that's just liking their stuff or making a comment or sending them a happy birthday or a congratulations or whatever. So
so true. I'll tell you, one of the things that I said too back then is back when I was a trailing spouse, I got all of my jobs through networking. And that was going into a town cold, not knowing people, but just knowing how to continue to reach out. And I think it's huge. I'm just such an advocate, but yeah. No, and I'm sorry, I interrupted your thought.
No. Absolutely. No, I think that that's really true. And it really, kind of dovetails in with what I'm thinking. And that is that most people will find the best fitting jobs with good pay and people that are respectful to you and all of that when it comes from somebody in your network, somebody that you know.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're more likely to get a better pay and a better position because
exactly
companies do want to hire people that are referred to them and that people that they already have a know, like, and trust factor that goes along with that. And it sounds to me, just in kind of listening to some of the things that you've said, really the best time to start preparing is really when you're not even looking, just go ahead and start compiling those things, which is another video I think I did a few weeks ago, where it just goes along with, let's get started. Keep track on these things. Keep keep like you said, a box or a notebook, keep it on a thumb drive. I am a big advocate of, when you think of something, put it on your notes file, and then later on, put it in that sacred place where it stays safe. But you want to pay attention to those things that you've achieved. So if you've maybe just finished off a project with your team, journal about that. What did you do? How did y'all manage it? What kinds of things did you try, maybe that didn't work until you tried something else and these things worked? And then what are the metrics? What were the results, and what do those things look like? Or, did you get your quarterly reports and realize that you increased sales by 10% over last year or last month and things like that? And so those things are just,
those metrics are crucial. Those are.
Trust me, when you start looking for a job, you ain't gonna remember those things. I mean, you're like going, okay, I gotta find that. And especially if you're no longer with that company,
Yeah, and I've suggested people too, if they're on a team, that they send a note to, each individual, not as a team, but each individual if you can, and say, I just wanted to thank you so much for, and then name something specific that they did to contribute to that project. And not only does that help with, team morale, and you're seen as like a good guy, but they may send something back to you that says, we could not have done this without you in the leadership position because blah 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 blah. Print that off and put that in your Yeehaw book.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Well, I want to go ahead, I want to ask you, what can our job seekers do to work this situation to their best advantage if they're feeling like it's uncertain? How do they make that to their where it works out in their favor?
Yeah. Well, I love this question because I a lot of times see job seekers doing the panic into error and taking a job that they don't really like, that doesn't
Mm,
pay as well, because they're worried they're not going to get another job. So if you go at it from the mindset of the world is my oyster, that's a great mental outlook. Like,
mm,
oh my gosh, like, okay, I've been laid off and now there are endless possibilities. Like, what do I want to do next? The interesting thing is when I have asked people, tell me about your ideal job, they fall all over themselves and they're like, well, I want to be home with my kids. And they're like, they can't define it. This is the number one problem. People don't know what they want.
mm.
So figure that out in terms of your, working it to your best advantage. What is it that you really want so that you can ask for it or get close to it? It seems like a silly thing, but I'm serious. If somebody walked up to you right now and said, "Describe your ideal job," a lot of people would not be able to do it. So do that. Um, and even if you're looking at it and going, well, that's silly, I'm not going to be able to be an astronaut. Well, okay, no, but it certainly says that you love adventures and maybe that you love space and maybe you like really enclosed spaces. um but what I'm saying is that it gives you clues so you can look at it and you can say, no, I can't do exactly this job, but I can take some elements that I really love and I can put those into my job search. So so much of our career is done on autopilot, and we could probably do a whole show on figuring out exactly what it is that you want. Really, that's what my 8-week career workshop is about, the Discover Your Calling class. So I think make the best of the situation, but it really starts with mindset, being
Mm.
prepared, which I know you talk about a lot. Being prepared is huge, and knowing exactly what you want, and then being open to the serendipity.
Yes.
It's like when we drill down and we're so specific, like, I want to be this, I want to work this job in this town, we miss all of the other stuff because we just block it out. So
Such a good point.
really be open to those opportunities.
Yeah. I would add too is this is a good opportunity to say, what do I not want?
Yes, that can be a great place to start.
All right, I think I dropped off there for a second, but what I was saying is I think it's a great opportunity to say, what do I not want in my career anymore? What things are no longer serving me? Maybe I'm really good at doing something, but I just absolutely hate doing it.
Right.
And so just because that's a skill that you have does not necessarily mean that's one that you should be using. So
Exactly.
those are some things. The other thing I know that as I was making a transition myself, one of the things that I really journaled around was how do I want work to feel? And that was
Huge.
super important to me is um I could it's kind of like you were saying, I could look at things from a broader perspective because I was very open to a lot of things, but knowing how I wanted work to feel and what I didn't want to do helped me actually end up right here where I am and doing something that I absolutely love to do.
Mhm, mhm. I love that, it's great. As I was putting all this together, I was watching Star Wars, and I love something that, Qui-Gon said. I'm sorry to the Star Wars fans. I'm a Star Trek. But, Obi-Wan was worried about things not working out, and Qui-Gon says, "Something will present itself," and he's, like, totally calm and mellow. And that is almost always true in your job search, but sometimes you need a little bit of help, and that's where your network and career pros kind of come in. It's not only about having the expertise, but it's about having that support there, where somebody is like, "You know what? It's all good. This is totally normal, and this is what we're gonna do next." And it just really can help shorten your job search, but also give you some peace of mind. So I just want to encourage people to reach out and ask for what they need.
Absolutely. Well, okay. So I want to move right along, and I have one last question for you. What I'd like to know is how can someone be ready to make a move, but also balance it so that maybe it doesn't worry or concern their current employer?
Yeah, I mean, I think that they can actually be sort of opening themselves up to other opportunities, let's put it that way, in a way that will actually feel really good to their current employer. So, I mean, if you are upgrading, any of the skills that you have that you would like to, utilize in a new job, you can utilize them at the job that you're at already. And that's a great, benefit to your employer. Um, you can also really be working on that network. And the only piece is to be kind of careful. So it's like if you're networking with a previous colleague and everybody kind of knows everybody else, if you say, yeah, I'm pretty miserable at my job, I'm looking at moving, that could get back. So, network with them, stay in touch with them, but just say, I wanted to catch up and just talk about whatever. And then when the time is right, you could say, I am looking at making a move if you know of something. So, yeah, I mean, I think I've talked with people and I've said, asking for a letter of reference before you're leaving is great if you can do it without setting off alarm bells.
Sure.
So that's something too. If you can say, hey, I'm just putting my stuff together because I know that, I love my job, but I know it's not going to last forever. And, if you'd be willing to write a letter of reference, that'd be awesome. But use your best judgment, because for some people that would set off the alarm bells. But
Yeah.
all the other things you can do, the networking, the upgrading your skills, the really exploring what you want to do, hiring career professionals to help you get there. Certainly, those are all things you can do because we keep things confidential. So yeah, that's what I would suggest.
I think absolutely. I think a couple of things I would add to that is if you don't feel comfortable asking for that reference letter, what we talked about earlier, like if someone sends you a note, or they reply back, um, hang on to those kinds of things. Anything that someone says, hey, you did a really good job on this project, or I really liked. Maybe they sent you just an email saying, hey, I really liked that idea that you presented in the meeting.
Right.
Can we talk about that further? Whatever. Just hang on to those things and keep that in your file of anything, like especially if a customer congratulates you or appreciates you for the way you solved a problem. Those types of
Right.
things you need to definitely hang on to. And I think when you are not looking is the best time to start updating your resume, to
Yes.
start definitely working with a career coach. I think for that whole stuff that we talked about at the beginning, when you're really trying to figure out what that next move looks like, and having someone who can help you with those transferable skills and
Mhm.
see maybe a broader picture to get yourself thinking of those types of things, I think are huge.
Right. I mean, I feel like career professionals could help you find a job, within a couple of months. You can, I mean, it's like if you come after you've been laid off and it's like, I need a job right away. Yes, we can help you get into something, but is it going to be something that you're really going to love and that's going to feel fulfilling? You spend a lot of time at work, a
Mhm.
lot of time. So let's make it something that you enjoy. Most of my clients right now are people who are like, I'm in a job. I've got about 9 months to a year before I need to get into another job. And I really want to find the perfect fit. Ooh, I wanted to say one more thing. Because I think this is important. I have people all the time say to me, I feel bad about myself because I feel like I should have had all of this stuff figured out so long ago, right? Right? Like you would think, like I'm, 40 or I'm 30 or I'm 50 or I'm 70. Here's the thing. I just listened to a really, really great podcast where we talked about the seasons of life. You did have things figured out at 20 for your
Mhm.
20-year-old self. You had things figured out at 30 for your 30-year-old self, but you're going through different seasons. So as I come into my next decade, I'm getting myself a bubble machine and a karaoke machine. That would not have fit when I was 15. I did not have the confidence to do that kind of thing, but I'm having dance parties at my house now. So I need, my bubble machine. And it's just what fits the season of your life,
Right.
and it's okay. You do have things figured out. It's all right. You
Mhm.
don't need a little help right now.
Right, right. I know exactly what you're saying because I think there's things I look back and I go, well, if we would have just done this 10 years ago, then we would have been here. And I have to stop and go, okay, acknowledge that thought. That's great. And yes, you can learn from that. But had you not gone through the
Mhm.
10 years as they progressed, you would not have the knowledge or the skill set to do what you're doing. So
Right.
don't waste that mental
No.
energy beating yourself up over those kinds of things. Acknowledge it.
Mhm.
You're having that thought. And yes, I mean, everyone else still is too. So it's okay. It's okay. And
Yeah.
you're not in that space right now or
Right.
anymore. And just like you said, be open. I love that analogy from the Star Wars where it's like it will present itself. And I do
Yeah.
feel like what you're supposed to be doing next does come to
Right.
you when you have an open mind.
And even flip that around, it's like if you have regrets, what I suggest is that people make a habit of thanking their younger self.
Mm,
And so, if you started, let's say you started working on a bachelor's degree and then you transferred colleges and you lost a bunch of whatever, or you have student debt or whatever it is, to look back and instead of focusing on the student debt, look at it and say, wow, thank you, younger me, because it's like I have utilized that art history class and I have utilized that religion class to connect with people. And, thank your younger self, and it will shift your mindset as you're doing your life, but your job search too.
very good. Very good. Well, Ari, it has been so great having you on. We've had such a great conversation. And to you guys that are still watching us, thank you so much. If you have questions, and I apologize, I forgot to check the chat, but I don't see anything. If anyone has questions and you're watching the replay, make sure to use hashtag replay. If you've stayed with us through the end, I apologize for any little tech glitches that we've had along the way. We've got a little bit of a cloudy day here in Arkansas, and sometimes that affects my internet. So it is what it is, guys. But this has been so good. Such a great, important conversation. And make sure y'all reach out to follow Ari. I've posted her social media handles. Is there one where you hang out more than any of the others?
I'm on LinkedIn most of the time now, but I love the Facebook and Instagram as well. So I'm
Okay.
around.
Okay. Very good. Well, it was so good having you. And y'all, thank you for joining me. I look forward to seeing you. We'll have a great topic next week. So make sure you tune in next Wednesday at 12:30 Central Time. Look forward to seeing you on our next video.
Thank you.